Hello, I'm Sinead, and welcome. This week on Craft and Chat, I thought that I would work on Granny again, and if you've seen last week's, you know that things went horribly wrong, and I was able this week to fix that paint, and we're ready to give her a body. So let me turn the camera around, and we'll get started. I've got Granny attached to some fabric here, see, so I sewed this up and then tied a piece of hemp string, there's the knot, to hold this in place in that little notch. Now, I didn't put notches on the arms and legs, and I may regret that. I'm on the hands and feet. But she's now attached to the fabric, and she'll sit over this. She won't actually be attached to this. It's just a framework within, and the body will pull down and hold on. So we're going to move her back there and pull off some wool and start trying to wind it around. Of course, the hands are going to get in the way. Been having fun working on the dollhouse as well. Hope you're enjoying watching the progress, or I guess there's been one video out, and I hope I get another one out for Friday. That's the plan, but you never know. Just trying to decide how chunky she should be. And I'm kind of glad that this wool hangs onto itself a little bit. Not thoroughly, but a little bit. So, the issues with the shellac, I've done it before and not had, the sanding. And I think part of what happened was that I did not have the sanding sponges that I've used in the past. That's part of it. She may be lumpier than what I've done in the past. And I don't know. So what I'm going to do this time to be smart, she's going to stay the way she is. She's going to just keep her nice shiny face. And I am going to take the swatch I did, add some more. I did a swatch a long time ago to test some colors and whatnot, and I will just take that swatch, since I still have it, put some more shellac on it, and mess around with sanding on it, and see how it goes. Before I go and put it on another sculpture. And then, in the milk paint, say before, I don't think there was milk paint. I think it was something else. That shouldn't matter. I think I'm going to regret that little elbow as well. It just, my copper, I ran out. I didn't have a long enough piece. So I joined it there at a reasonable joint, and it keeps getting caught doing weird things. But we'll get her where we want her, and she'll have a, hopefully it won't matter. That look about right on that side. I'm not sure I did the other shoulder. Well, there's something there. I just love how when I start messing around with the craft, I forget what it was that it was everything. I forget everything. I become totally focused on wrapping. May have to add more after I've got the fabric. I don't know if I don't know if I want to do that. I think maybe that might be a mistake too. So I'm making an effort here. See, I don't have any groove to catch the ties in, but I'm gonna try just tying. I may have to add glue. Okay, where are we? I feel like maybe just a little more on the body. So this week, on Monday, I went out and I gardened, and it wasn't my intention to go out and garden. I just happened to be out there with the dog, and I looked over at this planter I have, and I was like, that is not good. Those plants need some help. And so I'm out there, and of course, no gloves on, no prep. I just dug in. Who else does that? Gets out there and says, oh, that needs thus and such, and you just dive in. So totally muddy, and then I'm like distracted by grass. I'm like, oh, that grass just needs to be pulled. I should have left the grass alone, but you know, I did it anyway. And that's what the Band-Aid is all about. Does Granny want chunky legs? I just keep feeling I think I went too far. Was pulling the grass, and I didn't even know grass could slice your fingers, but it sliced the end of my finger. Really, it was a bleeder. But I got to practice some of my nature first aid. We happen to have a lot of plantain growing around in the yard, and I just grabbed some and used it to, chewed it up, used it to staunch the bleeding. And it worked immediately, and it was really cool. Okay, so this is my thought here. Got this really wide piece of fabric. I don't know how that's gonna work. I like to do this exactly the width that it needs to be at this end, but I wanted to give myself some extra fabric for up here for tying it in. So this needs to be exactly, and that needs to be wider. So somehow I ended up with wool following me. See about that. Well, I can't. Nope, you gotta sew it in place. Can't get past the fingers. So I'll just trim it away after I've sewn it in place. Where'd the thread go? Anyway, didn't even know grass could cut you, and now I do. also had a heck of a time getting all the dirt out from underneath my fingernails because, of course, you know, not wearing gloves. That didn't go well. So this is more crude sewing. My needle just flew away. Says, I'm out. I've had it. I'm done. Where are the other scissors? Apparently, I'm struggling here with this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop, I'm gonna make some progress, and I'll come back. So I've got everything tied on, but I also had to glue at each of these joins, and the glue is still a little moist. It's not. So Radar came in and told me it was time for lunch, so I went and had some lunch. Figured that'd give the glue time to dry. And we got this all stitched up, and this was all holding down here with the glue just like it needed to. And I'm up here at the top, and I look down, and we have slipped off. So I have cut a groove, and I'll have to do that on all the other hand and the feet, so that the string has some place that grips on, so that this can't slide off. Because I did need to add more stuffing to the arm to make it work around the frame. So I am going to go and modify all the arms and legs. It's the next day, and I have decided yesterday to cut, after I cut in, to go ahead and paint and shellac and finish that instead of leaving it raw, which meant that I had to take all the stuffing back off and start again, which is okay because, you know, I want to do it right. So I'll need to put the fabric back on, which of course I've got it on here backwards. Oh yeah, that way. Put the fabric on, stitch it up, put the wool back on, and sew it back up. I also took the time to really think through how I was doing basically the skin, and cut it more closely to length and machine stitched the straight part, leaving it only open on the narrower part that I couldn't get past the foot or the hand. So that part's going a lot easier because I am just, without the stuffing on here, I am pulled it up and stitching it from the inside instead of from the outside. So that's a little nicer. I added another wire to the framework to give this a little more stability. So it's just a little bit stiffer than it was, and the flopping issue that was kind of driving me crazy here has been eliminated by stabilizing that, where it's a joint that can bend instead of getting tangled, which is what was happening. Is it was just, I could just see that later being an issue because it wouldn't behave the same as the rest of the frame. So anyway, I just had this vision of her standing with her little walking stick, and I wanted to make that possible. I am hoping she doesn't need an additional stand, that I'll be able to get her balanced within her framework, you know, using the walking stick as that third point so that she stands on her own. And, you know, that you can reposition her arms or whatever within, you know, a small, well, I guess not small, but, you know, I wouldn't reposition her a lot. Also, she could probably be repositioned to sit if, you wanted to display her that way instead. It's just, my original thought was standing, and I just wanted her to be able to do that. So what you saw me doing yesterday, and the way in which I wrapped the stuffing around and then was struggling to sew these pieces in place, that's all based on, well, watching other people do doll sculptures. And I was just thinking, that's the way everybody else does it. It must be the easiest way. And didn't really put a lot of thought into it. Having to stop and go at it again, it's weird how, you've done these things before. I know I have done similar things like this years ago, but just forgot how I did it back then. Wasn't at the forefront of my mind, and yet, so I'm here going, well, I got to stop anyway. I need to rethink the fact that I didn't put the grooves in, and I don't know why I didn't even think to put the grooves in, and maybe I should re-examine the whole assembly process that I'm just not taking the time to really think about. And so I wanted everything to be a little easier. And I just start looking at it and I go, the stuffing shouldn't be wrapped around there first. First, you should get the skin attached so that you aren't having a fight with the stuffing being in the way. I mean, this is so much easier, being able to pull this up onto the wire frame. I got to get it past her hand. I got a narrow spot here. Had to get past her hand so I could stitch it above the hand. And then go back and put the stuffing on afterwards. And I'm so glad, actually, that I did, for whatever reason, need to stop and do this again. Because it's good to stop and actually look at what you're doing. Don't do it just the way everybody else is doing it just because. Stop and think about whether or not it's actually the best way to do it for you and what it is you're creating. And another thing that occurs to me is that a lot of these people I'm watching have minimal sewing skills. They that's not been the area that they've worked on in their artistry. Their stuff looks totally awesome when it's finished, and I do not think that they need to learn how to sew. They need to just keep creating the way that they're the most comfortable. But I do have these skills, and maybe I should stop and take advantage of them and rethink how I'm putting things together, so that the end product is more to my liking, and that's really all that matters here, is that I like it. It's great when other people like it too, but I mean, if you're creating and you don't like what it is you're creating, then why are you creating? So just thought I'd share the process, that part of the process. I think I need to clarify, when I say that I needed to go back and do it right, I mean right for me. I don't mean that there's only one way to do something. I mean, the right way for me to feel good about it, for my own satisfaction, not the right only way for something to be done. I hope that makes sense. So Joey's borrowed the pug mill from Laughing Gnome to take some of that recycled, the clay that you put for reclaim, which is mostly what I've been making use of anytime I use the terracotta for hand building anything. I'm using reclaim. And so she's borrowed the pug mill so that they don't have to do all the blending of that reclaim back into usable clay by hand. And there should be a video out. It'll either be out the Monday before this or the Monday after. So be sure to look out for that, because the pug mill is a fascinating tool So I've got her arms and legs attached, and I have been stitching. See, she's going to hit the camera, so I got to pull her out here. The front panel of the body, I have done some pulling of that around using thread and stay stitching it so that I can have that hold there. And then I need to do this. It's not the same thing, it'll be different because obviously I want to do a more finished stitch on the sides here, and also all of this has to be tucked in and then stitched to the arms and the legs. So she's almost there. We're just getting so much closer. She's pinned together. Her head has a bit of flop back and forth, and I think I will probably end up leaving that because I'm not, well, at this point, I'm not sure without taking it back apart how to stabilize it. So, and this type of joint always leaves a floppy head, so I don't really think that it's a good idea to try and stabilize it. Besides, when she's standing up, her head will be forward, kind of in that dowager's hump manner, and I think it'll work out just fine. But we're all connected, and I just have to sew up the last bits. I hope you enjoyed watching the progress that we made on Granny and her body coming together. It's really exciting for me to see her develop into a full bodied sculpture. Anyway, I hope you'll join me on Friday as we move along with more progress on the dollhouse. And have a great day. Bye. My needle just flew away. Says I'm out. I've had it. I'm done.